So, John, do you feel like you're an anxious person? Are you prone to anxiety?
I'm not.
No?
No, not generally.
I've gone through spells where I'm more anxious than at other times.
I take that back. I don't like conflict, particularly.
Yeah.
A conflict will give me anxiety, but otherwise, I don't fret over what the future will hold, and I don't fret over past decisions that have been made.
Yeah.
I try to kind of live in the present and be comfortable with that.
Well, these are anxious times that we're in right now. There's a virus that's moving around, that's infectious. A lot of people are catching this. There's been some deaths, and it's worldwide. There's a lot of people that's experiencing a lot of anxiety right now.
Yes, certainly.
And I understand that. I can remember in periods past, I remember 9/11. I mean, that was an incredibly anxious period for me.
Yep.
It felt like there was this dark cloud. I was early in my first career. I wasn't even in this business yet. And it was just about a year before I got into this business. But I still remember how gloomy it felt, right? Just the whole nation, it felt like, at least, had this sense of doom and gloom.
Well, and you weren't in a position where you could still be involuntarily reactivated into the United States Marine Corps' infantry units.
And you were, right?
And I was.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, there was some anxiety.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
But here's what I have found about anxiety. One of the best medicines that I've ever had for anxiety is money.
All right.
It sounds horrible to say that, and it sounds a little bit arrogant even. But I'm not a wealthy person by any stretch, right? I don't consider myself to be, as compared to my peers, compared to people in other nations, absolutely. Compared to a lot of people here in the U.S., absolutely, I'm a wealthy person. But compared to some of my other peers, I'm not. But I've learned from some mistakes that I've made in the past. And those mistakes are things like, don't get too close to the edge, right? Financially.
Right.
I've gone through periods where I felt like I was very financially close to the edge. And maybe it wasn't spending all of my money in pointless pursuits, cars, boats, and airplanes. Maybe it was investing too much of it into things that were illiquid, or buying a house that was too big, or whatever. But I've been talking to people over the last few weeks as this market has started to come down, and I'm seeing that anxiety come up because it's setting in that there has been some economic damage done.
Yeah, no, there's no question. Yeah.
And as this economic damage has been done, they're starting to see the trickle-down effect. And now it's just within a few weeks, it's already starting to hit them. And a lot of these people don't have any emergency funds.
Nope.
No money set aside. They're already right on the edge, and some of them are walking with one leg on the edge and one leg off. They were already behind on a couple of bills. Because when the times are good, it seems like they'll always be good, right?
Right. Oh, this is the tires rule that I try to explain to my young adult children. They're all adults at this point, but they're young adults. How much, Devin, how much do you enjoy tire shopping?
Oh, I hate it.
Do you, when you go to the tire store and you put a set of 4 tires on that big truck of yours, do you walk out feeling like, man, so glad I made that purchase? I've been looking forward to this for a year now as I wore out the last set of tires for the opportunity to buy some more tires. No. Mm-mm. Nobody likes to buy tires. You have to have tires.
Certainly.
And guess what tires are going to do? They're going to wear out, and you're going to have to buy new tires. You're going to have to buy new tires. It sucks. They're expensive, and they wear out. But you got to have them. But they're expensive. You got to have some money. You know the tires are coming.
Right.
Everybody who has a car knows the tires are coming. But I cannot seem to get it through these young adults' head that you've got to have some money for tires.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you need tires, you can't just magically come up with $1,000 for a set of 4 tires if you drive a big truck like yours.
Yeah.
So yeah, you gotta have funds. You gotta have some money sitting over there.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna need tires.
Well, yeah. So you get in periods like this, right? And let's go back to your tires analogy. What if you need tires and you need to pay the electric bill now?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
As things start to pile up.
Yeah.
I often talk about the individuals who in 2019 were looking at the incredible performance of the stock market saying, why do we hold bonds? Now they're looking at their portfolio saying, I understand why. And it's kind of like that even with my own emergency funds, right? During 2019, when the market was doing great, I was eyeballing this cash that I'd set back thinking, man, maybe I should put that in the market. Now I'm looking at it going, I wish I had more in there, right? So I've got several months of expenses built up, but when things are great, you might think I have too much in that emergency fund. But when things start to hit the fan, all of a sudden, it starts to feel that, what if I don't have enough? I can't imagine if I didn't have any. Now, I've been there before.
I have too.
I've been there.
Oh yeah, no, I've wrote that last check on the 20th, knowing that I didn't get paid till the 31st.
Yeah,
and that emptied the account, and that's all that was in the account.
Yeah,
and that was it. And there was no other account. It was just that account.
Yeah.
And those groceries gonna make it last for the next 10 days, and I better hope I don't need tires.
Yeah, right. So if there's one lesson that I hope we all take away from this, and that is when the good times return, as they surely will, this virus stuff is going to blow over. The good times are going to come back. The market's going to do great. The economy's going to start to perform strong again. Take some of that money we're earning, put it to the side.
Yeah.
Because just as sure as the good times come back, we're going to have something that comes up on us suddenly again, just like this has.
That's right. Hoard some cash.
Yep.
That's fine. You don't have to have everything in the market.
No.
And you shouldn't, nor should you. Hoard some cash. Well, my wife and I, we go back and forth on how much we should be hoarding back. We've talked about risk. I'm pretty risk tolerant. She is not. She wants to hoard a lot of cash. I want to hoard enough cash.
Mm-hmm.
And we find some compromise in there.
Yeah.
Currently, I'm pretty glad that she hoards more than I suggest.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure. When you see these times hit you, it's having that emergency fund set aside really allows you to focus on the job at hand and not spend your time in fear and worry. So I know we're going to get back to where we have good markets, good economy, all of that. When that time comes, I hope so bad that all of our listeners, our viewers, and everyone else out there take some of those funds, put them aside. And there's a few ways that I do this personally. There are some of the online accounts. My wife was telling me the other day, she said, if I didn't know we had that Ally Bank account, we never receive anything. They don't send us anything in the mail. I think they may have my email address. So if discipline is an issue, there are some fantastic opportunities out there with some of the online banks where people can open up an account, send some money to it, and then just treat it like it's not there. And you're not going to be constantly getting statements and all of that stuff to remind you that, hey, you've got this money here, go spend it. It's going to be there in case of a rainy day.
Yeah, I know. And I think that's good advice for just about anybody is kind of figure out where your money is coming in. If you've got money coming in from different sources or different types of sources, again, my money comes in from my business, but that could come in the form of a check. Mm-hmm. It could come in the form of cash. It could come in the form of a credit card payment. We don't get a lot of credit card payments in a service business. People are not paying for their wills often with, or trusts or whatever with credit cards, although some do. They want to get the points or whatever.
Right.
But the credit card receipts go into a different account than all the other receipts. And since that's a smaller portion of it, we can operate on just what comes in the form of checks and cash. So we can kind of let the credit card account be that cash balance for those emergencies. Yeah. Because we've got to have it in our business just like we have to have it in our personal life.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Well, I know as we move out of this market, I'm definitely going to pile up some more cash. There's no question about it because I'm going to be ready for the next virus or whatever issue hits us. And I hope that our viewers and listeners do the same thing.
Yeah, even stuff like building up those, the cashback rewards on your credit card or something. Don't spend them if they don't expire.
Yeah,
don't spend them.
Yeah,
and that makes a great little resource. Yeah. I've been building up on a Discover card for years, probably a decade. I've never used them. They don't expire. They just keep rolling over. I've got several $1,000s worth of built up cash.
Wow.
But I don't need it. And so to me that's just an additional emergency fund.
Yeah.
If there's, that's some money I can reach into. Works like cash.
Well, and I think that goes to the point too with, in your business, it's pretty capital intensive. I mean, you're not having to keep inventory on hand, but your big cost is in labor. Mm-hmm. You've got lots of employees, lots of highly compensated employees.
Correct.
So you're having a lot of money that's going out, and so the demand for capital coming from you is fairly high. So I think, people say, what do you recommend for an emergency fund? Is it just 3 to 6 months of expenses? I think it really is dependent on your personal set of circumstances.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's very, very dependent on your personal circumstances.
Yeah.
What's your debt load, and but on top of that, what are your spending habits? What's your lifestyle, and what other things do you have going on out there?
Yeah. Some people are able to in times where you have to get lean. Some people can get lean. Mm-hmm. Some people can't get lean.
Right.
And that's,
be honest.
Yeah.
Be honest with yourself.
Yeah. That's where that emergency fund is even more important for you. If you're in a period or if you're in a financial situation where you owe the bank for this and that car and this truck and this house and this vacation house, there's not a lot you can do. There's not a lot of trimming you can do on that to get lean. So
years ago, when my kids were little, I had one of their little friends came over, and the parents of this friend are a physician and a banker. These are well-to-do folks, right? And I'm cooking dinner when my daughter and her little friend walk into the house, and her little friend looks at me in the kitchen as I'm cooking some spaghetti and meatballs. I mean, basic stuff, and she goes, "Y'all cook?"
Yeah.
And I actually started talking to her about it, and to her recollection, to this 8-year-old's recollection, they had never used the kitchen in their 6,000 square foot house.
Wow.
So the fact is if in a crisis, right? You're talking about having cash resources and stuff. Those folks are not going to stop going out to eat.
Right.
In a pandemic thing like we got going on, they may be hitting the drive-through as opposed to sit-down restaurants. Mm-hmm. But be honest, you ain't cooking.
Yeah, right. You're right. So right. Evaluating those emergency fund needs, that's part of it. Yeah, just be honest with yourself. But whatever you do, get started. Let's get through this market, but then, get started. Start putting some money back because it may take another year, 2, 3, 4, 10. I don't know. But we're going to have another event hit us, and there's no need for you to live in anxiety and fear because you're too close to the edge. You can do something about it.